Yeah, I suppose just in relation to this, I suppose has been noted there by the Minister that this is very clearly outlined in the Universities Act, and of course with all universities that is a key tenet. For funding that's coming under this agency is to fund across all disciplines, and it will be based on excellence. The very first line here is the maintenance of excellence in the standard and quality of research and innovation undertaken. This will be tagged to Erin, and it will be literally about funding excellence in that, both in the exchequer and non-exchequer funding. And that's really where we would like to see that focus is brought to bear across all disciplines. And again, that funding is not in any shape or form been limited to any extent. It will be based on the excellence within the universities, both applying to exchequer funding been provided by this agency and also non-exchequer funding been provided internationally and across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. So for amendments 35 and 6, which propose to amend section 9 relating to the functions of the agency, the 3 agencies specified here are the core funding agencies for research and innovation, particularly in terms of education, and we will be requiring a closer degree of cooperation and communication between them in terms of ensuring a more cohesive national system. While the Environmental Protection Agency will of course have a role to play, and ongoing cooperation with the Health Research Board is intended and provided for in section 51. It will not be in the order of relationships between the 3 specified agencies, who will need closer cooperation in terms of planning and funding allocations. For this reason, these amendments are not appropriate to the specific provision, and we do not propose to accept them. For amendments 99 to 102, section 51 of the bill, administrative cooperation with other bodies contains a clause which gives the Minister powers to prescribe bodies to be added to the list contained here, and that will provide the complete description of all agencies and bodies which the agency will be charged to cooperate with as part of a cohesive overall national research and innovation ecosystem. Work is underway to scope and map these additions, and when this is completed, an order will be drafted to add the appropriate bodies to the list. For the moment, we are simply including the most relevant funded agencies within the research and innovation space, and we think that this is appropriate. We think that there is appropriate clarity here in the existing provision. The preference to do this is in an orderly and deliberate manner rather than adding elements in piecemeal. The bodies referenced by the senators here will be taken into consideration when the order is being prepared, but it would not be appropriate to begin this process prior to a more detailed work that needs to be completed. So we do not propose to accept these amendments for proposal.
Thank you. Just to follow up in relation to this, I mean, it is very important that we have, the attractive terms and conditions for our researchers across, I suppose, the research that's been done in our universities. That's very clear, and I know that Minister Harris, Simon Harris now, our Taoiseach, but as Minister Simon Harris in terms of the Department of Further and Higher Education, Research and Innovation and Science, and I know with Minister Collins as well, would have done a lot to sort of look at the stipends for people doing PhDs and so on, to make it more accessible for people to be able to do a PhD and to do research and further and higher research as well. It is, I suppose, the nature of some of the funding that comes into universities, in that it is particularly the nature of maybe a 4 or 5 year, I suppose I'm looking particularly just at research itself, more so, but like you will get funding potentially for a 4 or 5 year program of research. And in that way, I suppose the principal investigator is taking on their PhDs, their postdocs, their research assistants for that period of time. It does offer a lot of experience for those members, but I do think it is really important that we see the IUA as well are really highlighting that the importance. They've done a lot of work on this in terms of the researcher career framework, how we are looking at progressing researchers in terms of their work both within the university, within college, within the technological universities, but also how that supports people in terms of their lifelong careers, wherever that may take them. So I think that that's really important as well. So just to highlight those few points. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dolan. Minister.
Chair. For Section 9, the functions of the agency, Amendment 39 proposes to amend 9E. The provision relates to engaging with An Tuaidh in terms of skills development, ensuring that skills development is a consideration in terms of programme design and participation. The proposed amendment is not appropriate to this provision as it relates to a completely separate issue of career progression, which is not within the remit of the agency, and we therefore do not propose to accept this amendment. In relation to Amendment 40, the existing provision is aligned with the Global Citizens 2030 Ireland's Talent and Innovation Strategy, and the function of the research attachés who will be working on embedding talent and innovation as a flagship initiative. The intent relates to attracting international researchers to Ireland. It is not dealing with researchers currently working within the state, which is dealt with in 9E. Our department are working with the Department of Foreign Affairs and will appoint 6 talent and innovation attachés in Ireland House locations in priority regions by 2030. It is envisaged that they will work closely with the new agency, the Department of Enterprise and the Department of Foreign Affairs, promoting Irish research and Ireland as a research location. We recognise the intention of the amendment, and it is fully in keeping with our policy intentions and the talent pillar of the Impact 2030 strategy. However, it is not appropriate for this section of the bill, and for this reason we do not propose to accept it. In relation to Amendments 41 and 42, these amendments are not within the remit of the agency or the scope of the bill. As outlined previously, we do not propose to accept them. The agency will not be employing any researchers directly. It is an entity charged with funding research projects which are carried out by employees of research performing organisations or by researchers in the higher education institutions. It is neither appropriate nor possible for it to also take on a HR function with respect to managing the careers of hundreds of different researchers at various career stages at dozens of campuses around the country, unless it is to be structured and operated in a fundamentally different way from the bill as it's currently written.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Black, on Amendment 39, what would you like to do?
Can I just respond to the Minister and ask a question, please?
Go ahead.
I suppose I'm disappointed, Minister, that you won't be accepting these amendments. I suppose I have one question with regard to, I'm wondering, can you expand a little bit on what work is underway specifically on precarity in your department? Because I think that's really important. And I'd love to just know what's happening in that area. Thanks very much.
Black, Minister.
Government is committed to implementing Impact 2030, which is Ireland's research and innovation strategy. A dedicated talent pillar highlights the crucial importance of people and talent to Irish research and innovation ecosystem. It commits to ensuring that researchers will be supported with the right skills development and career opportunities so that they can make their maximum contribution to research and innovation efforts. HR policy in respect of researchers was formalised through the Researcher Career Development and Employment Framework. This addressed the terms and conditions and the need for a defined career path for researchers that applied across the research ecosystem. The framework has delivered significant benefits for researchers, including a clear and uniform salary structure and salary policy, including incremental progression and general round increases, open and transparent recruitment, clarity around career progression and professional and career development, and clear exit provisions. The higher education institutions are committed to providing stable and fulfilling employment and career opportunities, and a significant majority of universities' employment is through full-time and permanent contracts of employment, presently at around 83%. Our department published the first report of the Independent National Review of State Supports for PhD researchers last summer, which focused on the issue of stipend levels and recommended an increase towards an optimum level of €25,000, subject to funding availability, which we're working on. Funding was secured under Budget 2024 to increase the stipends awarded by the 2 competitive research funders under our remit, the Irish Research Council and Science Foundation Ireland, from €19,000 to €22,000 per annum, which is a 15.8% increase, and building on the additional funding secured under Budget 2023. Our officials and I continue to engage with the budgetary process in order to continue progress on this issue. The co-chair's final report will be published shortly and includes their considerations of PhD status. As with all other elements of their work, they are taking into account the perspectives of the 35 stakeholder organisations with which they met, as well as the variety of international practices in operation across Europe. The report will provide the basis for ongoing policy development. We recognise that there is further work to do here, and we need to be working with researchers on these issues and to ensure that we are retaining our research talent into the future. However, the agency has no remit with regard to researchers' careers, and the bill is not the appropriate place for this. Therefore, we're not accepting, as I've previously indicated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I suppose I only just wanted to highlight just the excellence that we see across partnerships that are happening already with our universities and our colleges. A little bit just following on from Senator Alice Mary Higgins' contribution as well. But like only just recently, we've seen €7 million come into the US-Ireland programme. And that's a phenomenal programme that's bringing in researchers. That €7 million is going to fund 10 research positions here in colleges in Ireland. It's going to fund another 10 or 11 in Northern Ireland, and the equivalent as well in the US. So it works with funding agencies. Those partnerships are in place now, and they will transfer. I am very, very hopeful. I know the Minister will probably speak to this. That a lot of those existing partnerships that we see in our current funding agencies will transfer to Tag to Éireann as well. But like some of those projects that have been funded, just funny that you'd mentioned water as well, was around sustainable, let me just find it here, sustainable collection and management of water, photonic integrated circuits, wearable sensors to monitor health, telecoms and microbial activity. Those are literally those projects that have been funded just in March of this year. So it just shows, I suppose, that we do have a lot of maybe, that those types of partnerships with other universities sort of at an international level that's already benefiting, I suppose, Ireland in terms of us, getting that research that hopefully will have an impact in society, as you've mentioned, and that we'll be able to see in society as well. But just at those partnerships, I guess, Minister, just following on from that comment, that those existing partnerships and developing new partnerships that we have already with other universities, other colleges, and other funding agencies across the, at an international level would continue as well. Gurmagas.
Thanks very much indeed, Minister.
Thanks, Chair. Amendments 44, 91 and 92, whilst we recognise and support the intentions here, the partnerships described are already possible and facilitated under Section 49 of the existing text of the bill. This could also become, in being very detailed and prescriptive, a limiting provision. The policy areas described are all encompassed by the existing provisions at Section 8D and 8F. The aspects the agency will focus on will be based on the needs of society, and these could change dramatically over time. The intention of these amendments is therefore already captured within the existing provision. The agency has these powers, as there will be no need to repeat a provision which is already contained in the bill. Therefore, we do not propose to accept these amendments. In relation to Amendment 79, again, this is the existing policy intention. Funding award process will be independent and will adhere to international good practice. Impartial is not quite at home here because the agency will be bearing other considerations in mind, such as parity of esteem, inclusive practices and balance of distribution. The objects and principles that have been laid out in the bill require the new agency to promote the highest standards of openness and transparency, ethics and integrity. By definition, that means that funding and awards will operate in an open and transparent manner. Funding award assessment processes will be independent and will adhere to good international practice, as I've already said, and there may be additional criteria or weighting added to a decision process to ensure that not all of the available funding goes towards one type of research, or to ensuring inclusive practices in terms of EDI, all of which will be transparently done, but which would not necessarily be entirely impartial. And for this reason, we do not propose to accept the amendment.